Hello and welcome to another What's Inside. This time we're looking at Monopoly for Sore Losers. This is a 2020 game from Hasbro Gaming. Ages 8 and up, 2 to 6 players. And like all Monopolies, it's how to lose friends and make people hate you. So, this is a fast-dealing property game, but with a twist. So unlike regular Monopoly, this is another themed one. So let's take a look at what we've got inside. Contents are game board, 6 tokens, 1 Mr. Monopoly token, top and base, 6 reference cards, 26 tile deed cards, 16 chance cards, 16 community chest cards, 32 houses, 12 hotels, 2 dice, 30 cardboard sore loser coins, money pack, and game guide. Now this is of course based off of regular Monopoly. So let's open this up and see what we've got. If I can get the cellophane off. Alright, so here we've got our money pack. Here we've got our cards, which look pretty fancy. Then nothing hiding under there. And under here should be the rest of our stuff. So we've got our pieces, our Mr. Monopoly, our dice, standee goes on. And here's our houses and hotels. And these are black and red. That's the new color combination. Then we've got our game board, our cheater coins. So these are all on one sheet. And they've got Mr. Monopoly on them. I thought his name was like Penny Bags or something like that. Whatever, Mr. Monopoly. Alright, and then we've got our rule book. Let's get this box out of the way. This thing's pretty cool. If you're a completionist, you'll want the insert in there. But it's really thin and held together with really cheap, almost medical looking tape. So be aware of that. This thing will probably be destroyed if you're buying it used. Alright, the rule book is just a fold out, which is kind of lazy, but it is in color. Paper's not bad, but it will get destroyed if it gets wet. So you'll want to collect color sets just like normal Monopoly. It's got the different denominations. You don't get a lot of money. You get 1,500 Monopoly bucks in this one. So, nice color. It's a little washed out looking because of the paper quality. It's got kind of that newsprint, old comic book feel. But pretty decent. I'm actually kind of impressed. I expected it to be lower end. Now these were a little bit disappointing. I was hoping for some plastic tokens. They are two-sided and they are decent thickness, but I would have liked something a little bit better quality. Let's take a look at the board. There's no back coating on this, so this will get damaged very easily if you get it wet. It's a 4-piece like usual, fold out. You'll want to check the seams, of course, to make sure those are in good shape. You get your free parking over here, which is steal one sore loser coin. And you've got jail. It looks like a lot of the regular stuff is on here. There's collect go. Collect go. What am I talking about? Collect as you pass go. Then jail and just visiting. So pretty standard board, really. The color scheme's different. I kind of like it. It's a little more subdued than the usual one. And it does lay pretty flat. I like that. Sometimes with these, you'll get a little bit of warping along the seam. There's slightly bump here, but not too bad. The coating on top's okay, but like I said, if it gets wet, this board is ruined because the underside and the edge lines are not treated in any way. It's just regular cardboard. So you want to be real careful about having drinks near it. But the color scheme's really good. Nice bright colors. I like this Kleenex box has money in it, so pretty fun looking. Let's take a look at our smaller pieces and see what we've got there. Okay, we'll start with the money pack and see what we've got here. Cardboard. Alright, so we've got our usual ones. We've got a 500. Then we've got the 100. Then the 50. And we have the 20. Next up is the 10s. Just above the 10s, we have 1s. And lastly, what was on top is the 5s. Now, these are the same packs they've been using since 2008, because that's the copyright information on it. It says 1935 and 2008. So they haven't changed the packs in a while, so that's kind of good if you're trying to replace any of these. You'll have a lot easier time finding an old set from the last 12 or 13 years now to swap out and add on to. So you'll be able to find replacements really, really easily. Okay, I just counted the money a little bit, just a couple of them, the 1s and 10s and 5s. And it looks like there's about 30 of each denomination. So you should have approximately 30 of each one in your pack. And that might vary slightly because it is very thin paper. But it's actually not as thin as it used to be. This is actually pretty decent stock for what they usually have. So yeah, that'll give you kind of an idea of how many of these you should have. But let's take a look at these cards and see how these look before we look at the other pieces. Alright, we'll start with Community Chest. That's the back of the cards. Oop, center that a little better. I like the color scheme. That's really cool. So we've got, if you're willing to... Are these numbered? No, of course not. That'd be too easy. If you're going to be sore, you might as well do it with a friend. Choose one player. You and that player collect one sore loser coin. And finally, this one. It looks like there's a new twist on some of the old cards. You could send somebody else to jail if you're Mr. Moneybags. Or, you know, you go to jail otherwise. So there are new twists. There's some classic cards that got jail free, that sort of thing. So pretty interesting twist on things, especially collecting loser coins. So we'll see how the rest of these cards look. Let's take a look at the chance cards. There seems to be a lot more of these before we get to the other cards. So this is the back of those. And first up we have, who's your favorite player? Apologies. I apologize if these are a little hard to read. Oh, there's another get out of jail free. Go jail. Again, you collect a loser coin, but if you're Mr. Monopoly, you can send somebody else to jail. This one gives you the Mr. Monopoly token. That's a really good one. Keep any sore loser coins you have. Advance to go. Yeah, it's a really big advantage having Mr. Monopoly because you actually can collect money instead of paying money. This one's really powerful. If you're Mr. Monopoly, you can steal one property from any player, but you cannot steal a property that's part of a complete set. So if they have two of the three, you can just steal one of them. That's pretty handy. So that's all the chance cards. All right, let's take a look at the Mr. Monopoly cards. Are these all the same? Looks like they might be. Yeah, there's 6 of these. They're identical. This is one side, this is the other. So you can collect a sore loser card when you pay rent, pay taxes, go to jail for any reason, land on your own property, draw a chance or community chest card that says to collect one. You can also collect one loser coin when Mr. Monopoly lands on the same space as you. When you land on free parking, steal one sore loser coin from any player. So that's pretty cool. Mr. Monopoly can do lots of cool stuff. He never goes to jail. If you land on go to jail, send somebody else. Collect money from the bank when you land on tax or bill space. Players pay you rent when you land on their properties. When you land on the same space as another player, steal one of their properties. But they do get a coin for that. Place one house on any property whenever any player, including you, rolls double. That is insanely broken. This game could be a lot of fun. If somebody's really good at Monopoly, this could totally throw them off their game, or they will annihilate you, one of the two. So pretty interesting turn of events here. So let's take a look at the property cards. Alright. There's Reading Railroad. There's the back. And then we've got Pennsylvania Railroad. Then B&O Railroad. Short Line. Boardwalk. Park Place. And you'll see some special rules on here too. Like the hotel costs, that sort of stuff. That's pretty standard for Monopoly. Then we've got Pennsylvania Avenue. So that was the blue cards. We're into green now. And of course there's 3 green cards. Next up is North Carolina Avenue. Then Pacific Avenue. And Pacific Avenue rounds out the set, leading us to yellow, where we have the legendary Marvin Gardens. Then Venter Avenue. Then we move on to Atlantic Avenue. And that's yellow. So we're under red with Illinois Avenue. Now you'll notice these are a lot smaller than the old sets used to be with their blockier square ones. These are much more compact. Next we've got Indiana Avenue. Then we have Kentucky Avenue. And that completes red. So we move on to this orangish color with New York Avenue. Followed by Tennessee Avenue. And of course, St. James Place. And that's it for those. And we're on to magenta / purplish with Virginia Avenue. Then States Avenue. And lastly, St. Charles Place. Then we move on to the light powder blue with Connecticut Avenue. Then Vermont Avenue. Followed by Oriental Avenue. Then we've got our 2 brown cards, which are Baltic Avenue and lastly Mediterranean Avenue. And that's the cards. I do like that they made these the same size as the other cards, just for storage purposes, but I do miss the squares because they were a little easier to read and it was laid out a little bit better. You didn't have to flip it over. It was, a little more compact that way. But this does make it easier for storage purposes, so it's kind of a trade-off. Nostalgia versus utilitarian use. So let's take a look at our buildings. These should be pretty standard pieces. Yeah, these are pretty much the same molded plastic that you usually get with these. This is nicer than the 70s and 80s sets, but still kind of cheap. And if you step on one of these, it's gonna hurt because it's that jagged kind of plastic. And if you break one when you're stepping on it, have fun at the ER, because that's probably gonna go into your foot. But nice quality, I gotta admit. It's just a lower end plastic than what you usually get nowadays. It's an older type of plastic, not the vinyl cool stuff that you get now. And it's got the little chimney, so pretty standard stuff. Same design they've had for as long as I can remember. And you get a whole bag of them. So they're just a different color. They're red and black. instead of green and red, I think, were the other ones. So let's take a look at the movers and the dice. First up, we have a doggy laying on his belly with his arms out like he's been run over. Then we have a sinking ship. So I guess that's the Titanic. Next, we have a sinister-looking dolphin. These are kind of hard to get the camera to focus on. Sorry about that. You have to look at my gross fingernails. Then we've got a T-Rex, which is pretty freaking cool. He's got little T-Rex arms, but they're kind of molded into it. Then we've got our race car, but unlike the usual race car, this has a boot on it, so somebody didn't pay their parking fees. So that's a fun addition. And lastly, we have a sleepy kitten. So that's pretty fun. Alright, so that's the little movers. Let's take a look at Mr. Monopoly. He is significantly bigger than these. Also made of metal, though, which is pretty impressive. Well, nope, this is plastic. Never mind. It just looks like metal. It's hollow and too light to be metal, though. It just kind of looked like it was. But you can see this is an average size race car, how much bigger he is than that. He's almost twice the size. Then you've got the base that he stands on. It's got the Monopoly symbol on there for the money. It's on both sides. And then there's some copyright information on the inside because they can't get away from putting that on a generic little case thing. And it's got the 2020 date, and what's it say here? Hasbro SA, part number E9972, made in China, C-267G is written inside there. And he's just going to pop on here like that. Pretty easy. Comes off there pretty easily too, so don't throw him around. You'll break the little pegs at the bottom of his feet. But yeah, it's pretty cool. He needs his monocle though, because he doesn't have that on his face. See if that's going to focus on that. Not likely. Alright, then we've got 2d6. Dice are getting smaller. I don't like that. So these are slightly smaller. They're just black and red. That is a cool look for them, and they do match the hotels and houses. So pretty standard dice, same kind of molding as you used to get, but they do look slightly smaller than the old ones. That's a good roll. So these are pretty nice. The movers are real good quality, nice metal. They could have gone a little better on this one. It's a bit of a shame that it's plastic and it feels hollow. If this gets dropped or stepped on, it's probably going to break, especially with this base attached. You have to worry about these pieces getting busted off. This will probably hold up a little bit better, but I'm worried that this gets stepped on and it's going to get completely damaged. And that is Monopoly for sore losers. Hasbro number E9972. Ages 8 and up, 2 to 6 players. It looks like probably the best edition of Monopoly that I've seen so far. It looks like it's actually pretty fun, depending on who you play with. And, you know, if it's some friends you're not real sure if you want to keep, then go for it. But if they're friends you really want to keep, I don't know, because Monopoly's great for losing friends. But if you're a big fan of Monopoly, this is definitely one you'll want to add to your collection. It has a lot of twists to it, and I think it's a really nice looking set. Board's a little chintzy, but overall it's a pretty decent set. The cards are pretty nice quality. The hotels are okay. The dice are a little small. They've been shrinking them to save some money probably, but standard fare, so I'm not upset about that. The pieces are really nice. They're pretty standard. Mr. Monopoly could have been metal. That'd have been really cool, but it probably would have raised the price. And usually you can find this for $20 to $30. I wouldn't pay more than 20 for it. I think it's overpriced at 30, but 20 is a pretty good price for this. But you've seen what's inside, you've heard my take on it. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and watching. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss future unboxings and reviews. If you'd like to help the channel in other ways, share the video around, buy something from the Teespring store to wear, or give a one-time donation through Streamlabs, or monthly support through Patreon. We do have exclusive videos available only on Patreon that are both from this channel and from Bad Comic Reviews. So that'll do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you on the next one.